We're here today at Huddersfield University celebrating the deepening collaboration between great academics, policymakers, politicians, communities and businesses right across the Yorkshire region.
Y-PERN is the Yorkshire and Humber Policy Engagement and Research Network, a network of the 12 universities, the 4 combined authorities, as well as all our local authorities across Yorkshire and Humber. Together, we're looking at how we can better support research policy engagement, working with and partnering with the expertise that we have in our local and combined authorities who are working at the forefront of some of our place-based challenges.
So I think in 10 years' time, the way I would love to see that engagement between policy and research really all boils down to people. And I guess what I mean by that is if you can have a community of researchers and a community of policymakers where the policymakers understand how research works and how to make the most of it, and the researchers understand what policymakers need, what the challenges of making policy are, what the timelines of making policy are. That gives you a mutual understanding, an ability to do research that's useful and to frame policy in a way that's based on research. And ultimately, you get policies, public services that really deliver tangible benefits for citizens, for communities, and for society as a whole.
The strengths of policymaking collaboration in Yorkshire and Humber rest on the fact we have existing infrastructure and existing agreements in place between the universities, with the universities and with our policymaking partners. And we can harness all the diverse and different expertise and strengths across our policymakers and also our higher education sector.
You know, we live in a society that's very, very complex at the moment, and just learning about the needs of the community, how they want to be engaged with, you know, what are their priorities, and developing that trust is really important at the beginning. If you develop that trust, and I think they'll be more willing to, you know, be honest with you, talk about the issues that they've actually got, and then, you have more meaningful dialogue and discourse, and I think that's the sort of starting point.
Huddersfield has got a real reputation for reaching out and working with local communities and policymakers, so to bring the Y-PERN conference here is very special. I think also we're at a point where devolution is changing and there's really serious conversations about what's the future for Yorkshire and Humber in terms of not just academic policy engagement, but how do you widen and deepen devolution?
I think what devolution offers is a new opportunity for universities partnering with local governments, with regional governments, with businesses, with other education institutions to really start to weave together a programme of research that can be practical, that can change things and that can have even greater impact.
So I think networks like Y-PERN really matter to try and bring out lived experience from the communities that universities are based in, the communities that we could and should and are working with. But the other thing networks offer us, I think, is the opportunity to convene different forms of expertise. So I think that's about communities, I think it's also about business and charities and policy making, and actually bringing all of those different forms of expertise together in a way that really foregrounds people and their experience, the problems that we're trying to solve. Why do the problems matter? How do they affect people? What do we do about it in a way that is about building solutions owned by communities themselves? And that's the power of the network, I think.